At a worldwide massive rate of 40 football fields every minute, trees are cut down by huge numbers, and the only people powerful enough to control this are the people of the government. However, economics and politics usually have a negative role play in deforestation because almost every government allows deforestation in its country in order to gain some kind of income. Many riots have broken out in the past few decades between environmentalists and the government. For example, in Brazil, dozens of riots have broken out against the government due to the major deforestation of the Amazon. Sadly, small protests will not change the government's mind, which is why these violent riots are occurring in multiple cities throughout the globe. However, deforestation in the Amazon has actually been slightly decreasing due to the actions that the people of Brazil have luckily induced. Deforestation has a major effect on the carbon cycle and ruins the way it works. Basically, when trees are cut down, the carbon that was once stored and trapped inside the tree is now released back into the atmosphere, creating a slight increase to the world's overall temperature. Also, when the tree is killed, there are less of them, which creates a lack of food and habitat for many animals, killing those species as well. Trees clearly play a very important role to control the amount of carbon dioxide that exists in the air at one time, and balances the atmosphere, keeping it healthy. However, when they are all cut down, the system is completely destroyed. There are many possible solutions to deforestation, and many are being carried out and have begun to be created on a global basis. The first and foremost solution to the global issue of deforestation is to try to educate and make governments of countries from around the world to ban or make regulations on the issue. However, this is extremely difficult to have happen because countries rely on producing lumber to sell and trade with other countries and companies within itself in order to make a decent profit. Wood can be used to make homes, living appliances, and goods. Forests may also need to be cut down just to create space and land for crops, livestock, homes, factories, airports, and buildings. Vertical farming is the second great solution to deforestation because it subtracts the amount of land that farms use in forests by being built vertically, either along buildings and walls or in large warehouses and garages. Vertical farming also brings more food to people who may need it in urban areas. Over 800 million hectares of land are committed to soil-based agriculture. Vertical farm plants can be stored in a smaller amount of area and will have a larger amount of production. Vertical farms are usually found on the side of buildings, in warehouses, or on greenhouses. For example, in a few warehouses near Mills Creek, Hamilton, people have begun to create interior vertical farms, using LED lights as sunlight and sprinklers to water the plants. Also, at the Endurance Building on Front Street, you may have noticed plants growing up the side of the building, which is also a form of vertical farming, even if it's not producing food. Vertical farming is a vital solution for Bermuda and many other dense areas of the world because there is not much land to grow plants anyways, plus we need to sustain the already small amount of forests that exist in the small island of Bermuda. The next solution I will discuss is the concept of floating farms. Because agricultural growth is the leading cause to deforestation, floating farms can contribute to solving deforestation. Floating farms were created a very long time ago in Mexico, yet have been very modernized and now are much more sustainable and efficient. Floating farms need to be built in enclosed bodies of water, such as lakes, ponds, coves, or harbors. This is because salt from the ocean is not good for plants, and the currents in the open ocean would move the farms around too much. Floating farms can also be built in places suffering from sea level rising, producing food to people in need. Some more expensive floating farm designs even incorporate fish farms under them and can be powered through solar panels. Floating farms have the ability to fully function themselves by using a desalinization plant, a salt to freshwater converter, in order to water the plants in an efficient manner. Overall, it is a very intelligent solution because the floating farms do not replace themselves with forests. The final solution that I will be discussing is the topic of selective cutting. Selective cutting does still incorporate logging, however in a much more sustainable manner. It is the act of cutting only some trees of a certain forest area. Possibly, you could cut down one of every 4 trees you come across. This allows the soil in the area to remain healthy rather than a fully deforested area with soil that becomes unhealthy and cannot grow new trees. With regular, common deforestation, the soil in the area where the logging occurs becomes much less fertile and more acidic, creating a difficult environment for trees to grow. Selective cutting is also done in a less destructive way, such as using a chainsaw or an axe, because it does not incorporate huge machines that destroy hundreds of trees in minutes. Selective cutting allows the area to stay as a forest and possibly regrow the missing trees, rather than a large field of dead stumps that cannot be regrown. It's important that some trees in a deforested area are kept alive because these can disperse new seeds from its branches, sprouting new saplings that will later grow into fully grown trees, bringing the entire forest back to life.